The very single thing that I talked about that could really sink Deshaun Watson and end his time with the Browns and probably in the NFL may be coming to light as PFT Pro Football Talk got a memo from the attorney that is representing the Jane Doe who is suing Deshaun Watson, now has pertinent video evidence. That was the one thing that I talked about in the previous videos we have made about this entire saga that could really sink Deshaun Watson. Because up until then, it would be a little bit of a he said versus she said. And I don't know if that would be enough for the NFL to go ahead and suspend a player. And I didn't think it'd be very likely to find video evidence if the event took place 4 years ago. It took place in her home. It just didn't really seem like that would be an environment where you could have video evidence. And if you did have video evidence, I would think that you would maybe take action a bit quicker than waiting 4 years. But here we are, and now we have to wait and see what happens next. Now, I should add, Deshaun Watson has completely denied all these allegations. But going back to the video evidence part, I mean, just thinking out loud, if we go through the story of the allegations, and it's important to say that these are just allegations, nothing has been proven as fact, but the allegations are that he had a blow up over the phone with her, trying to find her apartment. Maybe there's a video of him on the phone, like a camera in the building lobby or something, and you can see him having a temper tantrum or a meltdown. And if you see that, maybe that kind of corroborates the rest of her story, and it gives her a little bit more validity. And you go, well, she was telling the truth about that, so maybe she's telling the truth about the rest of it. So let's explore this further. Maybe she just has a camera in her bedroom, which would be a little strange, but, not impossible. So that's a possibility, I suppose. Maybe there's video evidence that came out after their interaction and she documented things. If there was like bruising or something like that, maybe there's video evidence of that. But I think that would be more of like a photo evidence. But still, this is going to be a potential dagger to Deshaun Watson and his football career. Let's be honest. Now, here was the statement that Tony Buzbee, the attorney who was representing this Jane Doe, released to Mike Florio at Pro Football Talk. We intend to interview with the NFL in 2 weeks. This coming week, however, I have to go to the Coast Guard hearings in South Carolina regarding the Titan submersible implosion because I represent a victim's family from that. When I returned, I intend to make my client available for interview along with 2 individuals who spoke to her immediately after the assault. I also have video to share that will be pertinent. Just a quick sidebar, like him just kind of, I would say flexing, but just tossing in that he's in part of the Titan. Like that was just not what I expected to read when I clicked on that. But regardless, yeah. Video evidence, I think, could be the end of Deshaun Watson's career at the Browns and just NFL career. Like, I don't see why another team would pick him up if there is truly, like, video evidence that we saw similar to Ray Rice and Kareem Hunt and Alvin Kamara, where it's just right in front of you, and then you add in all the other allegations he had 4 years ago and 3 years ago. I think this is just the end of his football career. Cut and dry. So now we wait for 2 weeks and see what this video evidence is, if we ever see it. But I am extremely curious and anxious, like all of you guys, for the next 2 weeks to go by so we can kind of, I think, just get to a resolution one way or the other. Now, when you look at the Browns' schedule, lost week 1 against the Cowboys. If we wait 2 weeks, I mean, that means he would play the Jags game. Kevin Stefanski already said Deshaun Watson is playing, yes, and there was no conversation or debate about changing that. And then there's week 3 against the Giants, so maybe this meeting takes place between the Giants and the Raiders game, and that could shed some more light as to his availability and a potential suspension following the Giants game. But this could be the next 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks for Deshaun Watson in the NFL. If, like I said, video comes out that really has damning evidence to it, I mean, the Browns are just going to move on from him. They're just going to release him. There's no way they can go back after that point. I mean, once you got concrete video evidence, and if it's that, I mean, I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse here, but if there is concrete video evidence, the Browns are going to release him. They're going to try and invoke paragraph 42 in his contract with all the defaults. which say he violated the contract by being unavailable because he got suspended. Now, of course, Watson's going to take this to court because this is the end of his football career, and I'm sure him and his team and his attorneys know that. So he's going to try and get every single dollar left out of his contract because he'll never get another NFL contract ever again. But these next 2 weeks, these could be the last 2 weeks that we ever see Deshaun Watson play for the Cleveland Browns. Now, I do want to just quickly slip in that Kevin Stefanski and the Browns standing by Watson in terms of no question that he is their starter and not even hinting at we're going to do our own internal investigation. If you're looking for where they stand on Watson as a passer, I think they are very confident in him. Like, if they felt like, hey, Watson's not that good anymore, just from a football standpoint, remove everything off the field, they could use this as a mask or as a diversion to bench Deshaun Watson, say it's because of all this stuff, but deep down, it's because they just don't think he's good at football, but they don't want to come out and say that because that makes them look really, really, really bad for trading all those picks for him and giving him that huge contract. So the fact that they are not going down that path, if you're wondering what the Browns' confidence level is on Deshaun Watson as just a quarterback, I think it's higher than you might think, which is why I don't think we're going to see Jameis Winston replace Deshaun Watson anytime soon, as long as Watson is on this roster and available for this team. Now, next up on the show, we're going to talk about another really important detail that Stefanski mentioned in his press conference yesterday. But first, I do want to show some love to our sponsor today, which is Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. One thing I really like about Game Time is you can get a bird's eye view of your seat before you purchase your ticket. That way you don't show up and realize, man, there's a huge pole sitting right in front of me. I can't even see first base. Or I'm all the way up in the nosebleeds and all the guys look like ants on the field. So download the Game Time app today and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Now, the next big question that the Browns need to answer, because there are multiple elements to this one, but one of the bigger elements is, did the Browns know? And to be a little bit more clear, do the Browns have this in writing? If Deshaun Watson disclosed to the Browns before he signed that contract that these potential allegations could be coming his way, then the Browns really can't get out of his contract. They knew beforehand and they proceeded. He told them everything. Now, if the Browns did not have in writing about this date he went on in October of 2020, where he was very frustrated and aggressive and angry over the phone, and then proceeded to have non-consensual sex with the Jane Doe, well, then the Browns could invoke this, hey, we didn't know about this, and now you're unavailable for us because you've been suspended. So rightfully so, you have defaulted on your contract. You have not fulfilled your end of the bargain, so we're going to rip it up. Stefanski, during his press conference, when asked, did you know about these allegations, said, word for word, I was not aware of the allegations. To me, I think Stefanski, and I know people in the comment section have had a blast pointing out how the Browns are run by two Ivy League guys and they don't seem very bright, but that's a different conversation and one I don't agree with. But Stefanski, a Penn graduate, I think he was very deliberate with his words right here. I think he knows Deshaun Watson's contract and the language of it. And so I think it was very particular word choice of his to say, I was not aware of these allegations, so that people kind of have a heads up that if this goes south, we can get out because there was no written disclosure about this specific encounter. Now, if we go through Deshaun Watson's contract really quickly, remember, it says, player hereby represents and warrants except as otherwise disclosed to club in writing. Remember that part, in writing, as of the date hereof, that player has not been charged with, indicted for, convicted, or of pled nolo contraere to any felony and or misdemeanor involving fraud or moral turpitude. Player has not engaged in conduct which could subject him to a charge, indictment, or conviction of any such offense, and no circumstances exist that would prevent players' continuing availability to the club for duration of this contract. I know all that kind of sounds like very legal jargon mumbo jumbo, but the key takeaways there were the beginning part, disclosed in writing, and then players' availability to the club. If he is suspended, and he did not disclose this in writing, I don't want to say it's ironclad because I'm not a lawyer, but just surface level from afar, that looks like a violation of his contract and one the Browns could rip up. Now, it is important to note that just because the Browns get out of the remainder of his contract, it doesn't mean he's off their books. It means Jimmy Haslam no longer has to pay him. He's no longer an employee, right? He's not on salary anymore. But his cap hit still remains. So there will be an $80 million dead cap hit awaiting the Browns if they move on from him. They will likely do a post-June 1 release, so it'll be about $25-ish million dead cap hit for 2025, and then about $55-ish million dead cap hit for 2026, which 55 is a big number, especially for someone that's not on your roster. Broncos just moved on from Russell Wilson voluntarily for $85 million. So it's not like this number that the Browns could never get over. Plus, every single year the salary cap goes up, so the percentage cap hit from $55 million today versus in 2026 is going to be dramatically different. So I'm not actually stressed too much over, wow, now the Browns are really sunk with this dead cap hit. It's not ideal. I don't think any GM would like to have that. It makes them a little bit less flexible, and the Browns love being flexible. They love to use the word flexible when talking about their salary cap approach and manipulation, but I don't think it's like the death penalty to SMU or something like that. So before we wrap it up here, if you want some more bad news, how about this? Myles Harden, the rookie out of South Dakota, added to IR today. I don't know what happened. He didn't play Sunday. He was a healthy scratch. So something must have popped up in practice, is my assumption, with a shin injury. So he is gone for the next 4 weeks minimum. Remember, guys can come back after 4 weeks. Teams can designate up to 8 players to come back after 4 weeks on injured reserve. And it sounds like the Browns are optimistic that all 5 of these guys could be candidates to come back from short-term IR. Ultimately, if some players aren't making as great as progress, and maybe 2 weeks from now there's more players added, so they got to kind of create a pecking order for who they want to prioritize to come back from IR. But yeah, you started off with 53 players on your roster. 5 are out for 4 weeks. Not good. We are right where we were last year, and the feeling and the just overall mantra, I'll say, coming into the season was, okay, the Browns got their injury bug behind them last year. Like, the football gods were not happy with the Browns last year, but that was 2023. It should be smooth sailing in 2024 to kind of balance things out. No, I think the Browns may have just had like green pop up twice when they went all in on black back-to-back years. So not very nice. Now, before we get on out of here, if you are still hanging out with us right now, hit that thumbs up button. I want to do a little bit of a YouTube test, if you don't mind. I want to see if the end of the video crew can help us get to 300 likes and beat our previous videos' like number. So if you're still watching, make sure to smash that thumbs up button and help us get to our goal. All right, that will do it for us on today's episode. Hit me up on Twitter, by the way, if you ever want to talk Brownies. Something I do take pride in is I'm never like someone who's too big to talk to the common man. Like, if you want to DM me a question, like, I'll respond, no problem, or just tweet at me. Follow us on Instagram, Browns Report IG. I'm always talking Brownies over there as well. But most importantly, make sure to subscribe to the channel. That way you can stay in the loop for everything related to the Cleveland Browns. We'll keep you guys up to date, and we'll see you all later.